Hi, welcome to Mercurius Being. I am Amy Jensen here with your Pisces full moon astro update. The full moon is exact on August 30th at 8:36 p.m. Central Time, and this is the chart. And again, wherever you are, it may be completely different than from where I am at. So at this lunation, we have the sun in Virgo. 7 degrees Virgo, 25 minutes, opposing the moon in Pisces, 7 degrees Pisces, 25 minutes. The moon is joined by Saturn. The sun will be joined, it is right now joined with Mercury, but it will be joined exactly with Mercury next Wednesday, a week from this lunation on the 6th for its inferior or interior conjunction during its retrograde phase, and the window for that is the 5th, 6th, and 7th. I'm going to start off with the Sabian symbol for the sun at 7 degrees Virgo and round it up to 8. And this is from Lynda Hill's book, The Sabian Oracle. So the name or the statement for this degree is, a girl takes her first dancing instruction. The oracle is, you may find yourself in a situation that is brand new to you and you need to learn the ropes. You have the potential to do well, but initially you may be unsure of what to do or how to act or react or what steps to take. Even though you may know a lot about many things in regard to the situation facing you, you may not have had much experience. There may be a lot to take in, absorb, and learn at the moment, but one day you'll probably look back and see that it was actually easy, like learning to ride a bike. After the steps to the dance have been learned, you will be able to display more maturity and grace. Eventually, people can stop telling you how to perform. However, no matter how much we know, we go on learning throughout our entire life. For now, you have to listen, respond, and learn. That is, until you are the teacher. Pay attention to what is being taught and what, indeed, can be learned. And you will continue to learn and go far in life. Music and dance can lift your life. Indeed, they can transform it. So that is the degree for the sun in Virgo. And the degree for the moon in Pisces, the statement is, a girl blowing a bugle. So both girls in both of these are young women. So the oracle statement for this degree, you may need to sound the call to wake up those around you, or perhaps be woken yourself. The situation facing you may be bogged down in irrational complexity when everybody needs to have a central focus and be rallying and going for the objective. There may be unexpected revelations and something may take you by shock. If somebody is sounding off loudly, it can cause irritation and upset. Is it you or another that's making all the noise? There may need to be a balance around exactly how much noise one should make. Having a cause to loudly trumpet can make people respond by pulling back or being distracted and disinterested, rather. Keeping a balance between excited enthusiasm, forward momentum, and just plain making noise will bring rewards of some kind, even if it only wakes up those around you. Blowing the bugle too early or too forcefully can put people off, which can be the exact opposite of what's desired. This can lead to people not listening, indeed even running away instead of being aroused to their duty. Does everyone around want to hear the message that's being trumpeted, or are they trying or fighting to cover their ears? Using simple, receptive innocence will get the situation on track. Okay, I'm just having an airplane go over, so hopefully that didn't drown anything out too much. Uranus is going retrograde today. I don't know if I said that already. I've started this video a few times, so as I'm recording this, Uranus is going retrograde today. So the airplane makes me think of that. We'll touch on that a bit too. So those are the points for the sun and the moon. So learning to dance, learning the steps, maybe getting into music and movement, and being receptive to being taught. And then when you're ready, sharing that, being able to perform without the instruction, and then maybe being an instructor oneself. So that's the first point in Virgo. And then the Pisces point of trumpeting, of heralding something, but having willing ears for that message, or being sensitive to how the message is delivered. At this lunation, it is a supermoon. So it's the 3 out of the 4 supermoons here. And it's the one that is closest to Earth. So I don't know about you, but I've already been feeling this one. And Saturn is conjunct the moon at this time, opposing the sun. So adding Saturnian energy to the whole mix. And Saturn is also just a few days away from being its closest to Earth and brightest for this year. So the strength is amplified with both the moon and Saturn, and they're very dissimilar energies, but they're both in the sign of Pisces. So they're kind of giving us a view into the lens of, through the lens of Pisces, into the moon and its sensitivity and its intuition and its changing nature and the fluidity of the moon. And then the Saturn, the concrete, the rock, the earth, the limitation, the constriction, the foundation that Saturn represents. Saturn is at 3 degrees Pisces, 33 minutes. And you know I love numbers, so I looked that one up. 333. And of course, it's the number 3, thrice. And I just also thought that was interesting as I wrote that down. I was thinking, of course, Mercury now in this retrograde journey has already had its max elongation evening star. It'll have its conjunction with the sun next week, and then the max elongation morning star in September at the end of the cycle. So this will be the second time next week that Mercury crosses the thrice cross degree. So 333. Assistance is available in your endeavors and in your soul mission. And this is all weaving together. Although when I was starting to get everything together, I was not seeing the pattern, but I am now. So, okay, this 333 can encourage you to be creative, social, and communicative, and to use your natural abilities, which also will come up again, and talents to empower yourself and uplift and enlighten others. And it's a reminder that your gifts are to be utilized for the good of all. And there's also just a little statement about keeping a positive attitude about yourself and others and the whole world, and keeping that energy and attitude elevated, just to help keep the energy and attitude elevated throughout the world, and just having faith in humanity as a whole and in the future of our world. Live your truths and express yourself with clarity, purpose, and love, and be a positive light to others. And of course, that could be every day, right? But that just ties in when I talk about Venus as well. But Saturn, that's the degree that Saturn is at 333. So Saturn's conjunct the moon, opposing the sun. It has quincunx to Mars. It has a quintile to Jupiter, and then a little semi-square to Chiron. So the quintile to Jupiter is a creative aspect. It's a 72 degrees, and the degree of that is 0 degrees applying 00 minutes. So it could not be any more exact. So Saturn, the god of contraction and confinement and limitation and bones and stones and, like I said, earth, and Jupiter, the god of expansion, optimism, benevolence. Jupiter rules the hips. It rules the pelvic center. There's a flow with Jupiter, and it's, like I said, it's very expansive in nature. So they're meeting together with this minor aspect, but at 000. Couldn't be any closer. And I looked that up as well. At first, I didn't know if I would find 000. I was thinking maybe it just started at 1, but it does not. So 000 is a reminder that you are one with the universe. You are a powerful being with the ability to manifest all you desire into your life. All that you say and do has an impact and effect, be it positive or negative. So ensure that your thoughts, beliefs, and desires are of a positive nature, as this is what you will draw into your life. And I was joking recently that I seem to have a great ability to draw the negative thought forms I have into my life, like really fast. And I'm like, dang. So there must be a lot more worry and fear and juiciness behind those emotions within my system that can bring about that. So I'm like, oh, this is a really super great reminder and a good focal point and practice for my spiritual practice to really start fine-tuning some of these things within myself. It's always work, right? We're always doing something. So Saturn, with this strong Saturn at this time, I wrote, you gotta work. Like I said, I gotta work on those thought patterns, right? Glaringly obvious to me. Gotta work, pay your dues, heed the wisdom of the old. Discipline, determination, don't skip steps or cut corners. There is no way around it but to go through it. But that quintile with Jupiter is this little kiss and it gives creativity, quintiles do. So once you do the work, I got the image of like a skid steer, a bulldozer coming in and clearing out. And that can be really hard work. They have to clear out a lot. And they have to level it and make sure it's really well cleared before any building can happen. So once you do the work, once you go through all of those beliefs and thought patterns and habits, and you lay the foundation with that Saturn in Pisces, of course, is that giving form to the formless, right? It's a little bit like grasping the ocean. But in the world, in our bodies, in Saturn form, in time and space, we're really doing the opposite. And I'm sure I said this in another video, but so we're the formless inside, our spirit is the formless within this form. And then Saturn in Pisces is giving energy and space to experiencing that externally and living it. Okay, if that makes sense. So once we lay the foundation, the expansiveness of Jupiter and the creativity can ensue. It'll be like a freshness to it. And the combination of those two planets, it'll be just the right amount of both, okay? Grounded in one's material, physical reality. And with this Virgo energy, the Sun in Virgo, the Sun and Mercury in Virgo, and then with our conjunction next week, we have this Virgo energy that's necessary to craft. It's the energy to make it useful, to apply discernment, skillful application, giving form to something that can be grasped and utilized, something of service, something to be passed down, something clever. The Virgo always building the better mousetrap, right? And then the Virgo idea of something sophisticatedly simple, just beautiful and elegant in its simplicity and its craftsmanship. As I said, we're preparing for the conjunction next week. So preparing that energy within and without of communicating to the inner monarch, into our will center, into the Leo center, the Ajna chakra. Mercury is at the midpoint of the Sun and Mars. And then Saturn, again, opposing the Sun, Saturn in conjunct Mars. So there's this Saturn doesn't have an aspect to Mercury, but Mercury is at the midpoint of Saturn having an aspect to the Sun and Mars. So it's at the sensitive point between the two. So I got this image to really dig into our minds, Mercury, and into the gut, Virgo. And as we know, the mind is in the gut, the small intestine that is ruled by Mercury, but also the knowingness that's there. How do you feel? And how does how you feel affect your mind? How is your mind affecting your body and how you feel? So this image of untying and untangling and organizing and reorganizing and reweaving and rebuilding and recrafting and then crafting anew. All right, I'll leave that there and just talk a little bit about Venus starting her Leo cycle. So we just completed the Capricorn cycle of Venus, and she just had her conjunction with the Sun. And so we are going to be spending the next period of time with Venus, learning to enjoy our creativity, our creations, really finding that joyful immersion into the creative process, allowing our focus to join with the creative force and the focus larger than ourselves. It's an opportunity to co-create and recreate a reality which honors unique, authentic, sincere expression, joining our individual focus with the creative principle, Aham Brahmasmi, the sense of being radiant, of shining, of being a vehicle for life force, prana, light, illuminating the fire within, and seeing and acknowledging the divine, sacred fire within each of us, illuminating wholeness and completeness, illuminating self-love. And like a team leader, that Leo energy, being a team leader, exemplifying that principle, being an example for others. And anything that is not in alignment with these aspirations of creativity, of creation and life force, prana, light, and self-love, all that's not in alignment with that is going to rise to the surface. And as it rises to the surface, you can see it more clearly. You're going to feel it more acutely. It might hurt a little bit, but it can be evaluated, transformed, cleared, and healed. During this time and this process, it might feel as though the opposite of all these things are true, that you're not loved, that you're not divine, that you're not connected to life force. And these feelings just point at areas to clear and to sweep, beliefs to question, sweeping away areas, and finding ways in which you can deeply forgive yourself and others. And that kind of is going to flow into the Pisces energy here. But forgiving yourself deeply And also remembering that everyone else is also going through this process, consciously or unconsciously. So just be a little more gentle with everyone, starting with yourself. The practice of love and acceptance will resonate and reverberate out from within you. Offer your heart and your self-love as a gift to the world. I should just get that tattooed right on my arm, and then every day just read that again and again. Okay, so the area of the heavens that the moon or sun is in, rather, is Magha, and it means power. And I'm just going to say a couple things about this, and I believe this is from Komilla Sutton, and I will cite that at the bottom, of course. So at this point, from this point in the heavens, I'm just going to say in the Vedic terms, it's from Leo to Scorpio at this point. At this point, the soul's journey is in this area of the heavens, and then into Scorpio, is in full involvement in the pleasures and pains of earthly life. Ketu, or the south node, is the ruler of this area, and it is the significator of spiritual realization, ruling the starting point of the journey into matter, experiencing the realities and fullness of life whilst still fulfilling the missions of your soul. So, interestingly, this nakshatra, this area of the heavens, is a material area, but its goals are idealistic, so not losing that spirituality. So there's a call for the senses to be conquered so that they can help direct the life force, the chakras to be activated and cleared so that they can reach toward true understanding, lifting up. And at this time, in this area of the heavens where the sun is in, direction is given, but not the answers. Okay, so the area in the heavens where the moon is in is Shatabhishak. The symbol is the 1,000-petaled lotus, or 1,000 flowers. And its ruler is the north node, or Rahu. And it has a lot of Saturn energy as well. So the energy of Saturn and Rahu combined equals life having to have a purpose. And the total direction is about learning lessons. But let's not frame that in, he's got to learn a lesson. Okay, but just viewing life as a series of things that we're learning. Going back to that Sabian symbol of learning to dance, learning the steps, learning the process. So sometimes this energy is difficult to handle unless our activities are directed towards service to humanity. So again, the steps that we take for ourselves are more achievable if they're directed and offered as a service toward humanity, a bigger service, a service with a capital S. So with Rahu and Saturn here, changing our life's purpose and giving us the final answers to understand the final answers of life, as well as responsibility to others. And just the opposite of the other one, right? The other one was direction given, but not the answers. So again, full moon, so we're playing with polarity. So the energy, again, now for this polarity, the other one was, hey, enjoy the material world, enjoy matter, you're here. But don't forget that you're a spirit in this material world. And no, I haven't listened to the police recently, but the moon in this area of the heavens is about shedding materialism and moving towards spiritual development. The ruler of this area of the heavens, the deity, is Varuna, and he bestows wisdom and knowledge so that a ray of light can shine through each of us. The ray of light is the perception of why we're here, the real purpose of the soul, and this light guides the person under the direction of Varuna, who is the deity of the deep, deep underground waters, towards a new approach to life. Okay, so Uranus going retrograde today. So when Uranus is direct, it's kind of shaking up the world. Now it's retrograde. It's giving it a chance to work in our internal microcosm. There's an energy of kind of fighting against the internal self-made confines. The Doris Lessing book, Prisons We Choose to Live Within, came to mind. It will be the internal shakeups, the energy of churning and erupting internally, and also kind of, so Uranus is in Taurus still, so kind of erupting or disrupting the electrics of the heart center. So again, rewiring our heart. Hopefully Uranus will burn out, maybe again, that zapping energy, but all the wires that are crossed that are not leading to self-love in the heart center or to love for our fellow humanity. At this time, Uranus is trining Mercury, and then Uranus is trining Pluto, and Pluto is trining Mars. So there is a lot of energy for transformation, and Uranus and Pluto on the other side of the chart here are holding the energies of all of these planets. So Pluto up here, Uranus down here, and then kind of funneling in and focusing in the energies. And we have Mars and Venus on the outside edge of that configuration with the sun. So this ability to take something big and transpersonal and focus it down in more personally. So I'm just going to wrap up with a couple things with the Virgo and Pisces polarity. So the shadow Virgo can fall into perfectionism, criticism, cloaked in virtue. Basically just being really hard on oneself, like never good enough. Always working and working and working and serving and serving and serving. And there's never an end point, and it's never good enough, and it's never clean enough, and on and on and on. Instead of stepping back a little bit and celebrating the art of the process, the art of perfecting, the art of crafting, the art of service, responsible service to oneself and to others, and then softening any of that hardness or harshness of Virgo with the Pisces energy, which is just all capital letters, compassion, honey. Compassion, honey. And I wrote that, literally wrote that. And there's been a little bee around me. And I quick looked up bee before I started. And bee, of course, is a good worker, but they do stop and smell the roses. So do a little of both, right? We do have work to do. We've got things to uncover. But the reason we're uncovering and the things that we're working on are old, outworn beliefs that are preventing us from really coming into that Venus and Leo energy of love, self-love, creativity, our divine nature, and our connection to all of those things, and our connection to each other as well. So the Pisces energy, the moon in Pisces, the sun in Virgo, working that polarity back and forth, the sun shining at the moon, highlighting Pisces, and the moon, activating the sun. They're vibrating each other, the luminaries full in the heavens. And the Pisces energies, forgiveness, big forgiveness, self-forgiveness, gentleness. Gentleness moving into kindness and wholeness. And I've just been feeling a lot of death feelings, but like an ego death. Like, oh, that old ego has to die. It just has to die. The too big ego has to die. The too small, not good enough ego has to die. Like, those need to just be washed away by the oceans. And we need to come back to be centered into ourselves, surrender into service, aspiring to the higher goals of Pisces, the altruistic goals of Pisces, being in the world but not of the world. Recently, and I'll note this below too, my friend Deb Newton has this wonderful recovery program and a website, Santosha Recovery. And I was just listening to her Om Shanti teaching the other day, and it was really lovely and really inspiring. So I will link that below. But it just prompted this other little, I did just a couple little pages of writing the other day, thinking about the Om Shanti. And I thought I would share this with you because, truth be told, I'm in my second Saturn return. And so this lunation and this whole Mercury retrograde in Virgo is really hitting my chart very acutely. And so if it's hitting your chart, and I feel you, okay? And I'm trying to stick with feeling this. So I want to share this with you. So just cycling through all of these karmic thoughts and feelings, worry, fear, anger, and release, and thinking back to Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi, peace, acceptance, God, karma, watching the wheels, living through the heartbreak and the recognition of your heart. But remembering that everyone in the world does have their own awareness and their own consciousness, and each person is on their own journey, and their journey is theirs. Okay? So instead of worrying and fearing, replacing that with faith and trust, again, in humanity, sense of peace, and just thinking about the love, and just holding on to the love part, not the fear, the worry that might bind me up. Releasing that. So everyone is free to be. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And then placing all of that energy, instead of putting it into the worry and the fear, placing it all back into oneself and into wholeness. Otherwise, we can end up walking around feeling like we have this huge gaping hole in the chest, and just walking around feeling like you just have an utter and completely broken heart. So Om Shanti. Moving from fragmented to wholeness, from shock and dissociation, the fragmented self from self, and moving toward calmness and gentleness, patience and time, moving away from the energy of combat and combativeness, competition, to acknowledging each one of our strengths and honoring each of us in our physical boundaries. And then just calmly being, strongly and centeredly being, and then staying in the being and filling in all of the holes and repairing all of the fragmentation. And the world needs each of us to spend some time in this healing, to really let yourself be healed. Just allowing oneself the grace of time to really feel it all. Feel the grief. Allow yourself to express it. And then allowing whatever comes out to come out without editing it or masking. And just keeping the foot in that healing work. But remember that when the universe knocks, there'll be no hesitation. Just a resounding yes to the universe. You and I, all the world moving together, moving forward in wholeness, in our entirety, in love and acceptance. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Until next time.